What is a unit of measurement? A unit of measurement is defined as, this came from Wikipedia, a definite magnitude of a physical quantity defined and adopted by convention and or by law that is used as a standard for measurement of the same physical quantity. Any other value of the physical quantity can be expressed as a simple multiple of the unit of measurement. What does that mean? Well, if we take an inch, which is maybe, let's say, from there to there, 1 inch always relates to the same distance, no matter who measures it. On every ruler, an inch is supposed to be the exact same. Well, we can use an inch to measure different lengths. Say, for example, I wanted to know how long this distance was. Well, I can take my inch and place it onto this distance and measure in inches. And it looks like this is about 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 inches would go to here. And so our distance that I wanted to measure was about 4.6 inches. I'm just using a multiple of this unit of my 1 inch to measure this distance. Well, there are many different units. Say, for example, instead of inches, I wanted to measure this distance in feet. Well, we know that a foot is 12 inches long. If I'd used a foot to try and measure this distance, I might try lining it up with my foot and comparing it to see how much of the foot it is. Well, you can clearly tell that it's less than a foot. And actually, one way to figure out how many feet it would be to convert the measurement from inches into feet. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video, is how do we convert between different types of units to express the same quantity. Here's a small snippet from a standard ruler that has inches on this side and centimeters over here. It'll be important for you to be able to recognize the difference between inches and centimeters as you measure things, and one easy way to tell is that inches take up more distance than 1 centimeter. So here's 1 inch from the 12 to the 11, and 1 centimeter is just this distance. So an inch is bigger than a centimeter. Well, what if I wanted to convert from 1 inch into centimeters? Luckily, I have this conversion table that's telling me that 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. And you can almost see it lining up from right here. If we go up, looks like it's right about 2.5 centimeters for 1 inch. So the same distance on one side would look like 1 inch, and on the other side would look like 2.54 centimeters. Well, how many centimeters would there be in 1.5 inches? What if I went to here? Well, one way I like to think about how to convert between units is to just take a conversion fact, like 2.54 centimeters equals 1 inch. And to figure out how to convert between the units on either side, I'm going to look for the 1. So here's 1 inch. And if I want to turn 1 into any other number when I convert, especially with units, I just multiply by the number I see on the other side. So that means to go from 1 inch to 2.54 centimeters, I just multiply the number of inches by 2.54. Well, if I wanted to go backwards, or rather to convert from centimeters back into inches, then I go back to the 1. From the number that's not 1 to the number that is 1. Well, if I had to multiply to go in this direction, then to go backwards, I'm going to divide by 2.54. So just by using this fact, I can figure out how to convert between inches and centimeters. To change 1 into some other number, I just multiply it by whatever that other number is. So in this case, to turn inches into centimeters, I multiply them by 2.54. So 1.5 inches is 3.81 centimeters. And again, if we look to match it up, it should look like it's about 3.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. That measurement right there is right about 3. Whoops, sorry. 3 starts here. 3.81. Okay, well, that's how you convert from inches to centimeters. Let's try practicing some other conversions and see how they work out. Let's do 2 examples. A football field is 100 yards from end zone to end zone. Express this in inches. So if I start with yards, which I see here in my conversion facts, and I need to convert them to inches, well, it's going to take 2 steps. I'm going to convert yards to feet. And where do I see feet and inches? Up here. And feet to inches. So the first thing I'm going to think about is how do I convert from yards to feet? And again, I can use my conversion fact. 1 yard equals 3 feet. I find the 1, and to convert to 3, well, to turn 1 into any other number, we multiply. Times 3. That means to convert from yards to feet, I'm going to multiply by 3. Well, let's figure out the next step also. How am I going to convert from feet into inches? Well, I have this fact. 12 inches equals 1 foot. So to convert from feet to inches, again, I'm going to look for the 1 in my feet to inches, and here it is. And to convert from feet into inches then, to turn 1 into any other number, I'm just going to multiply by 12. Okay, so that means if I start with 100 yards, and I multiply it by 3, then I'll have the number of feet. And then if I multiply that by 12, well, then I'll have the number of inches. So 100 times 3 times 12 is 3,600. And that is inches. Now let's try to convert this in this next problem. A half marathon is 13.1 miles. How many feet is that? Well, I need a conversion fact that relates feet to miles, which is here. It says that 5,280 feet equals 1 mile. So if I take that fact, I'm going to find the 1, and I know that to go from the 1 to the other side is when I multiply, times 5,280. And to go back the other direction, I would divide by 5,280. Well, in this case, I have a measurement in miles, and I want to convert it into feet. So I'm going to start with 13.1 miles. And then if I look to here, how did I go from miles to feet in this direction? Well, I multiplied by 5,280. And 13.1 times 5,280 is 69,168. So that's the number of feet in a half marathon. Okay, so just by using these conversion facts and using the strategy of finding the 1, you can figure out how to convert between different types of units. Let's do some examples of some problems that require a few more steps. 40 yards is how many miles? To answer this question, I need to find yards, and this conversion for yards converts yards to feet, and then I need to convert to miles is what I'm trying to get to. So I notice also that here I can turn feet into miles. So I'm going to have to use these 2 conversion facts. So since I'm starting with yards, I'm going to convert yards into feet and then feet into miles. Well, to turn yards into feet, because I'm starting with 1 on the side with yards, then I know I have to multiply by the number over here, by 3 to turn yards into feet. Well, how do I turn feet into miles? In this case, I'm not starting from the 1. I'm starting from something other than 1. So that means I have to divide by the number over here, 5,280. So to turn yards into miles, I'm going to start with 40 yards and multiply it by 3 to give me feet. And then I'm going to divide the answer by 5,280 to figure out the number of miles. And the answer is 0.0227, and then you can see that the 27 repeats. Miles. If you had to round it, you might usually round it to something like 0.023 miles. And when you round, you use these little squiggly equal sign. So just a quick check. Does this answer make sense? Should 40 yards be very small number of miles? I think it should be, because 40 yards is about 120 feet, but a mile is 5,280 feet. So it makes sense that this answer is really small. Let's try another problem. 800 kilometers is how many feet? Well, I need to find kilometers in my conversion facts and see if I can trace it back to feet. Well, here's kilometers. 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So now I have kilometers to meters. Then here I can get meters to centimeters. Here I can get centimeters to inches. And then here I can get inches to feet. So if I was going to plot out this course, I start with kilometers, I go to meters, and then from meters, I go to centimeters. From centimeters, I go to inches, and then from inches, I can get to feet. So I'm going to write out the conversion facts that I need, and now I'm going to figure out my calculations. I started with kilometers, so I'm going to first turn kilometers into meters. Since I'm starting with the 1, then I know I need to multiply by the other number by 1,000 to turn kilometers into meters. Well, then I'm going to have to turn meters into centimeters. That would be this direction. To turn meters into centimeters, I'm starting with the 1 again, so I multiply by 100. Well, now I'm at centimeters, and I need to turn centimeters into inches. That would be in this direction. And since I'm not starting with the 1, then I divide by 2.54. Then, to turn the inches now into feet, I go in this direction again. And that looks like I'm going to have to divide, because again I'm not starting with the 1, but I'm ending at it. I'm going to divide by 12. So my process to turn 800 kilometers into feet is to start with the 800 kilometers, multiply it by 1,000 to give me the number of meters, then times 100 to get the number of centimeters, then dividing by 2.54 from right here to turn the centimeters into inches, and then dividing by 12 to convert the number of inches into feet. When I finish that, I get 2,624,671.916. Okay, well, I'll say 0.916 feet. And again, just to do a quick check, does it make sense that there would be many feet in 800 kilometers? And it does. Kilometers are smaller than miles, but they're on the scale of miles. And so if you had 800 kilometers, it would make sense that you would have a lot of feet. So the main idea of this video, and of this idea of how to convert units, is that when you have conversion facts, you can figure out how to convert from one unit to the other by finding the 1. And if you start at the 1 and you convert to the other units, then you know you're multiplying in that direction. Because 1 times 1,000 is 1,000. But if you want to go back the other way, if you want to turn 1,000 back into 1, then you have to divide by 1,000. Or divide by the number that you see there. If you use that strategy, you should be able to solve most types of conversion problems just by figuring out where the 1 is and deciding how to use your conversion facts.